3 years ago or so on my selection day. I was thinking back to it recently, and I remember really vividly trying to learn new names and faces and getting to know so many incredible people, many of whom have become really great mentors and friends. But as I think back on that day, it's hard also not to think about the version of myself from 3 years ago, to think about who I was then, just starting law school, and also about all the ways that I've grown in that time. And in particular, there are three things that I think have been most formative since I started as a fellow elect. The first is my education. By this, I mean school, but I also think that my education at Columbia was much bigger than school. Law school was hard, to be sure. It was hard not just because of late nights and cold calls, but also because I think that my time at Columbia helped me stitch together my view of the world, and I think that process is supposed to be hard. It was as much about, I think, learning values as it was about learning law. And, for one, I think law school will teach you patience. I learned that litigation takes forever. The doctrine, changes slowly. And also, I think that social change, the kind of work that first sparked my interest in a legal career, is not just the work of one case or one career or even one generation. And I think those are lessons in patience that I found not just practically necessary, but also an exercise in sustainability and in self-care that I'll take with me into this next chapter. I think another is humility. Part of that comes from being surrounded by brilliant and litigious people all the time. Nothing will humble you more quickly than being introduced at a selection dinner after Zainab, for sure. But also I think just as you learn in school about the power of law as a tool of social change, you also learn about its limits. I'm most interested in civil rights litigation, and this year I'm working as a lawyer at the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund. And even at a place like LDF, the organization that brought Smith v. Allwright and Shelley v. Kramer, Brown, those cases are a testament to the power of law and lawyers and judges to make transformative social change. And at the same time, I've learned in school that the most important civil rights advances of our time, I don't think will be made in the courts. They won't be made by lawyers. And I think for litigators, that's humbling. And also I've learned that it's an opportunity for us to reimagine how we use our legal education in service of our values. So I left school with a deeper sense of patience and humility. And I think in that, law school has taught me a kind of perspective, one that's made me more optimistic and less cynical, and also more confident that I can make the kind of mark that was my hope when I started here 3 years ago as a fellow elect. The second thing that contributed to my growth, and I think the most important, is relationships. The friends and the mentors that I've met over the last 3 years have transformed my life. I think this year is the first time this group has gathered in person since my selection day back in 2019. And, of course, as a result of the pandemic, of course, made building relationships hard. But I also think it revealed their importance. This community from the very beginning was really important. Fellows above me who gave me outlines and advice on professors and journals, clerkships, people who checked in to make sure that I was above water. The amazing Janice and Steve and Betty, Bob, who I quickly learned no matter what else was happening, there will always be a truly chaotic email waiting for you from Bob to bring levity, but I think also to remind you that there's always someone looking out for you on campus. And, I think relationships shape us in a lot of ways. One way they matter for me is in the example that those closest to us set. And this is a community full of people who I'm proud to call my friends, and also full of people whose example I feel really proud to follow. And I think those two things, my education, the relationships that I built, are important. But I also think there's something else too. I was talking with an older fellow a little while ago about my disbelief that I was picked for this, and I think what she said was really helpful. Um, she said the Patiño Fellowship is not just an honor to recognize achievement, but it's a responsibility that's placed in your trust. And I think when something important is placed in your trust, it changes you, it forces you to grow up. Um, I think it's similar to the trust in many ways that's placed in you as a lawyer, right, as an officer of the court. And I'm also quickly figuring out that I think being a lawyer requires being a leader, even if you don't want to lead or think you deserve to lead. And I think this university, this fellowship, this profession confers an immense amount of power that requires leadership of you. And more directly, I think being a lawyer forces you to choose in a real and concrete sense on whose behalf to use that power. And that's why I am so immensely grateful for this community. I'm starting my legal career at my dream job, a job I could not have accepted without the support from this fellowship. But more importantly, I'm starting my career feeling assured that I have the resources, the mentors, the friends, and also I think the examples that I most need to make the most of it. So thank you for that.